Hi, I'm Dennis Weiss. Welcome to our town. We're here at the Abilene Public Library with my friend from a long time, Brad Homman, who's the administrator at Dickinson County. How you doing this morning?
Doing great, Dennis. Thank you.
I always appreciate shaking hands with Brad because you know you've had your hand shook when you do that. So how's things down across the tracks?
Things are going real well. Overall, we've got a good show going, good program, and no major problems going on, I'm proud to say.
Okay, very good. You know, we're sitting here in September. We've got the first real fall feeling day that really feels like fall. Beans look good out in the fields. That's gotten a little rain. You know, the wheat crop was okay. Corn crop looks pretty good, but the prices aren't so good. But you know, what's that got to do with Dickinson County and our town? It has a whole lot to do with what goes on in our county.
It does. The county, you know, most people take for granted or just don't understand exactly what the county provides to them and how many different facets of their daily life that the county is involved in providing. And when you talk about the rural area, commodities and such, the quickest thing that comes to mind that we provide that's important to the community is roads and bridges. So.
Okay, you know, I remember a couple of years ago in the last local election when there were several commissioner seats up for grabs. We had a forum at the Eisenhower Presidential Library, and Dan Reynolds, to the answer to my question, you know, what can the county do for economic revitalization? That was his answer. He said, the most important thing Dickinson County can do is to make sure we maintain the roads and bridges to the level of degree to deal with larger equipment and the loads that they carry of high-priced commodities to market. I thought that was a good answer.
It is, and that's something that we deal with every day. In Dickinson County, we've got roughly between 1,500 and 1,600 miles of roads that the township and county are responsible for. Out of those, 200 of those are paved roads that the county maintains, and 100 of them are gravel roads that the county maintains. We also have 300 bridges in the county, and a bridge is a structure that has to be inspected at least every 2 years, some of them annually, depending on their design. And then we have another 1,300 plus of smaller structures that are 20 feet or shorter in length that we're responsible for. That in and of itself is pretty daunting to keep up with that.
I remember this topic of over 10 years ago when we probably first met. I was working with county government software firms, and the lead topic on everybody's mind on internal meetings then were the bridge structures, classifications, and how you deal with bigger loads and bigger equipment. And I think that's still a great challenge today.
It is, and it's a moving target. It really is. I mean, every year equipment gets a little bit bigger. Our bridges haven't grown. You know, they're pretty static, and the way they were designed back, some of them the turn of the century, that were designed for vehicles of that era. They've held up well, but many of them are coming due to be replaced because of their lifespan, because of their design, and also because of the type of equipment that's going across them for not only width but weight limits. And trying to keep up with that has been quite a challenge.
I see every fall we have at least one news story from counties within our news area of somebody going through one of those old wooden structures. And growing up on the farm, I've done it myself. You go, well, my truck is longer than the bridge, so maybe if the front wheels get to the other side, it's okay for the back.
Or if I go fast, yeah.
So, but it's just it's a huge challenge for a county like ours, and it has to be dealt with.
Yes. Other counties in the area have chosen to close roads, close bridges. We've been very proactive in our county. We haven't done that. To my knowledge, we don't have any intentions of doing that. We have had a couple smaller bridges that we have closed over the years that are simply what we call bridges to nowhere.
Right.
And much to my surprise, in public hearings that we've had, the farmers and ranchers have come in and suggested we close those because they would much rather see us manage our money more wisely and spend it in other areas and prioritize it.
I've followed a couple of those, and I see that as such a healthy trend to see a farmer and rancher walk into a county commission meeting and say, we would be better off if you closed this road. They'd list the reasons why, but one of them is so you can spend that money that we need over on a bigger road where more people, more weight, more traffic is dependent upon this other road.
They certainly understand the financial component of it, and understand there's a direct correlation to the taxes we pay, and know that it's a limited amount of money we have to deal with. So,
well, one of the things that you have upcoming this fall is a plan to deal with specifically how to fund road and bridges, because as we know, the county's a taxing entity. You have property taxes, which none of us like when that bill comes in November, but we recognize that's how we get services from a governmental organization. But you have a unique proposal this year that you're taking to the marketplace to talk about road and bridges. Why don't you explain that to us?
well, the county commissioners have spent a lot of time, along with staff, myself and our staff, trying to come up with, I guess, to make ends meet, if you will, for lack of a better term. Over the past 25, 30, 40 years, the cost of doing business, the consumer price index, if you study that, has gone up continually. Our revenue, whether it's from user fees or from grants or from property taxes, has not kept up with that, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But the fact remains that, coupled with what I mentioned before, and the life expectancy of the bridges and the weights and such, it's just become apparent that we can't keep up. So we need to generate some more revenue to keep those bridges intact, keep them in a safe working order, replace the ones that need to be replaced, as well as some of the roads that we've got that are handling heavier loads that just simply weren't designed for those loads. Property taxes was not the popular answer. We with the school projects that are going on about the county, with the cities looking at a number of projects of swimming pools and streets and other issues, property tax it wasn't a popular solution. So what the commissioners have elected to do is put it to the voters that they would like to see a 1/2-cent sales tax implemented in Dickinson County for 5 years to help pay for roads and bridges. And that they did pass a resolution several weeks ago that will put that on the November ballot and let the citizens decide if that's a viable way to fund that.
You know, a couple of things, Brad. I have had interviews with other folks in your chair about issues, whether it was a school bond issue or the property or the sales tax to improve this facility where we sit today, the library and the swimming pool. I'm always in favor of something that goes to the people through a vote. I think it's an essential part of our democracy. 2 reasons. One, it's good if we get to choose, but by putting it on a ballot, we have a lot of people from your side of the street willing to come here and talk about it, because you know that you need to communicate back to the taxpayers the benefits, the cost of whatever you're proposing to do. And I think that's one of the most healthy things you can have in local government, is people being willing to explain where the money's going, why, and then ask for it.
Yeah, I think it's an awareness issue. You know, I was thinking this morning when I was getting ready to come to work, you know, about this interview, and most people, me included, take for granted what we get from our tax dollars. For example, you know, stop and think your path in from the Talmadge area this morning, how many bridges you crossed, on what roads you drove on, and what the cost of those are. And me coming in from Solomon, I know of 3 bridges I crossed that, you know, a couple of them are multi-million-dollar bridges, and the roads that I drove on. But without those, how would we get around? And that's just us getting to work, not to mention the farmers and ranchers and other producers in the county that have to have those things for their commodities.
Let's use that example. You fill in some gaps and I'll fill in the others.
Okay.
Talmadge, okay? I live a mile west of Talmadge on 18 highway, so I came to Talmadge, I turned south on Fair Road. I drove right past MKC, which used to be the old Talmadge Farmers Co-op, crossed the railroad tracks, went by their older facilities, and then their brand new, I don't know how many bushel bin, several 100,000
It's a big one.
concrete a bushel bin. That has been a direct investment into the Talmadge business community. And you do the math on even $3.50 corn or $7 wheat, that's a lot of money that will sit in that bin. And that's a business operation. Well, you keep moving to the south, you're going to come to one of those bridges that you folks just worked on in the last year or two.
Well, you've already crossed two in your path that
Right.
we just replaced. One by the old school at Talmadge
Right.
was replaced a few years ago. That's ours. Another smaller little structure right at the railroad tracks in Talmadge. So there's two you've crossed already
Right.
that you probably didn't even think about.
Yeah, I didn't, because the first one, which was a major one.
It was a major one.
Several years ago now,
Yeah.
so I'd forgotten about it. So my north entry to Talmadge has a bridge that would fall under this program. And the south exit, the major bridges, 1 and 2, I just passed the first road, have both been either improved or completely replaced
Yes.
in the last couple of years.
Travel a little bit farther south, we've got another one just prior to the curve. A little bit farther south, we've got another one by the golf course, and those
Right.
are the ones that are coming to my mind.
Right.
Not to mention the asphalt road that you turned off on K-18
Right.
on Fair Road all the way
Yeah.
across the county. So
And the truck traffic's heavy there.
It is.
You know, just in the marketplace, MKC, I don't think is much different than the Talmadge Farmers Co-op was in how they choose to move grain. That's all related on what market prices are for transportation, but most of the grain, all of the grain comes in there on a truck, and almost all of it leaves on a truck. I think I don't know that they've loaded a car on the railroad in a while. I think there's two reasons: the availability of cars and the price of cars. You can get a truck when you want it, and you know what the price is, and the railroad's not quite that flexible.
Right.
So we're at the Talmadge farming community is completely dependent on that road to be able to carry that amount of money in and out of that community, and it's a big number.
And when you say the Talmadge farming community, we're really talking about the whole northwest corner of the
That's
county.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's a big, big area. of
And we
Dickinson
have
County.
similar situations in every corner, every point of the county with, you know, Chapman and Elida, you know, Woodbine and Navarre, Hope,
Yeah.
Solomon, same situations, and that's just a rural commodity.
Yeah, even in the southern reach of our county, if you look at Tampa, the API co-op sitting on the agri-producers on the opposite end, we feed those elevators with farmers' grain, and they would feed them on Dickinson County roads and bridges.
And we've talked about a few of the trucks that MKC or the transporters have to have. We haven't even touched on all the farmers
Right.
and everybody.
Every farmer's got a tractor trailer
Yeah,
now.
or multiple ones,
Right.
and their families, their employees, and everybody else that has to use those roads and bridges. So
Okay.
it becomes pretty critical pretty quick.
I think we've cooperatively presented a fairly solid case on why we need roads and bridges in Dickinson County. Let's talk about the choices, and you hit on it, on how to fund it. You said you went through the process, and property tax wasn't a popular idea. Let's work that through a little bit. Why wasn't it popular, and what's the benefits to go with a sales tax? And I know they are like this, but let's talk about it.
Well, it's all revenue, money that comes out of our pocket, you know, bottom line. Property tax, of course, as everyone knows, is directly related and comes from everybody that owns real property in the county. Depending on who you talk to, property taxes are generally considered to be pretty high. Although I've communicated with people from other counties and even other states that find it hard to believe that our property taxes for X valued property is as low as it is. But they're just not very popular with the Abilene School District and Harrington School District and some of the other communities and government entities putting on bond issues that are sizable. We try to look at that when we do our budget, because the normal taxpayer, me included, does not, you know, it's money out of the pocket. It's all, they don't really care where it goes. It's still money they have to pay. So by doing the property taxes, that's money that only Dickinson County taxpayers pay. Right. By doing a sales tax, that would spread that out on everybody that trades in Dickinson County, so that people that are coming into the county doing business, traveling on our roads and bridges, would all help pay for that cost. We've estimated by today's numbers over the past couple of years what sales tax has generated, that a half-cent sales tax would generate just slightly over $1 million for Dickinson County annually. Okay. Which we think would be a tremendous infusion into our road and bridge budget to help offset those expenses.
You know, one of the things that I think about this issue, and feel free to tell me I'm wrong or all wet, but that's why we do it in this format. property taxes are not a choice by a property taxpayer.
That's true.
That once they show up in your mailbox, that's just the way it is. You have to pay it if you want to maintain ownership of your property. Sales taxes, you can choose what you buy, where you buy it, and how much of it you buy.
That's true.
So I think my nature says sales tax is a choice that ultimately should be more palatable to taxpayers than one it's not. And point one. Point two, our demographics in almost every small town Kansas, and Abilene no exception to this rule, we are a graying and geriatric generation community. We have a lot of people who have concluded their careers and are living on what is thought of as fixed income, but their choices on income may be different, or their ability to pay may be different based on what they did in their working life. But the fact of the matter is, property taxes for that group of people are hard to swallow. And for some of that group of people, may be impossible to swallow, that their budgets are tight enough that the one asset that they still have, their home, the additional cost there may be the backbreaker for them.
That's exactly right. And by doing the sales tax, it gives them the flexibility to make that choice. That's a very good point. So
Okay. It goes on the ballot. What's election day this year?
I believe it's November 4th,
Okay.
or give or take a couple of days. So.
What kind of outreach is the county going to do to things like this to publicize
Well, we've
the opportunity?
started with projects like this. We're going out to the civic groups, making contact
Okay.
with them, offering to do programs. We're hitting all the senior centers and hitting out to that group of
Very good.
of taxpayers, if you will, the people that have paid taxes their whole life to retire here, and which Dickinson County's highly populated with that group, with that demographic. So, and we're going to do the website information, handouts.
Hey, I want to
brochures.
give you a kudos.
Okay, give me a kudos.
Dickinson County has been the leader in our community of transparency by making their meetings public via the web, and that was largely because of Brad Homman. And not only did you provide the technical expertise to make that possible, I'm pretty sure you provided the push to say this is a good thing to do. That's a great service for the community.
Well, it is. We continually, whatever elected body that you have, they get a lot of criticism that they did things that they didn't know about. And it's difficult for the working people to get off to go to a commission meeting. We have had meetings, public hearings and such, where we get quite a few people, but we hear continuously, well, I can't get off work to do that. This way, by recording the meetings, putting them on our website, you can watch it at any time. And they do have a lot of views, believe it or not. So
Yeah. I hear back and forth on this issue, and I want to give a couple of them here so we can knock it down. Well, how many people watch them? Not many. But here's the difference. They can if they want.
That's right.
Therefore, you have done your part as government.
goes back to that choice.
That's right. You've made it available. And if people want to become engaged, they can. Where prior, the burden was too high. You had to physically be there. Well, making it available via the web simply is good due diligence for government in my world. I'm very proud to say Dickinson County's done that.
Well, we've often said that if we have 40 or 50 views on the website, if we put 40 or 50 people in the commission chambers, that would be one heck of a crowd.
Then if you think about the coffee shops that each one of those people may go to, or the Farmers Co-op elevator coffee shop in the mornings, that news spreads further than one would think.
Absolutely.
You take 40 or 50 people who have actually viewed it, they will certainly talk to several others, and they're coming from an informed point of view instead of maybe what somebody heard about something.
Right.
So that's a great move. Now, as we have 1 minute to finish off, so how's those Homman boys going to do with Solomon Gorilla football this year?
Well, I think we're going to do really good.
Okay.
We're off to a good start with our first win last week. We go to Wakefield this week, and we just keep it going. We've got a young team, but we're looking forward to a really good year. So.
Okay, Brad, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for what you do down at the county. Thanks for putting some big, tall, strong boys in Solomon to play football. Folks, go enjoy Friday night football every chance you get. It's good for you, good for the community, and just a lot of fun for those kids. Thanks for watching our Town program today. I'm Dennis Weiss for Eagle Communications, Brad Homman for Dickinson County. Have a great day.
Thank you.